In this demonstration, we will look at the basics of creating, launching, and monitoring a task in Universal Automation Center. Since tasks are essential to being able to define a workload, this is an important skill to master. In essence, tasks are the basic building block upon which the rest of your work will be based, so it's important to learn to define them optimally. For our example, we will work with a Linux task, but the knowledge acquired here can be applied to any task type. You may create a new task by copying an existing one, or you may create one using the definition form. There are various ways to access the form. We will open the task definition form in a new window by accessing the Services menu, then by clicking on the plus symbol to the right of the task type we wish to create. Next, we will maximize the window. As you can see, the window is divided into different sections. The General section of the task definition form is the same for all task types. The rest of the sections may vary depending on the type of task you have chosen. For example, the Details section of a Linux task and a Windows task are almost exactly the same, but are very different from an email task. Notice that when the pointer is hovered over a field, a hint appears. Also note that some of the fields have a red asterisk next to them. This is to indicate that the field is required. Note that the Linux task only has 4 required fields, which are the name, the agent, the command or script, and exit code or output in the results processing section. Begin by typing a name into the name field. It may be up to 255 alphanumeric characters, which may be restricted based on your user or group permissions. Be sure to follow your company's recommended naming convention. Since a Linux task must run on a server, in the Agent Details section, from the drop-down list, select the agent which is running on the server where you want the task to run. There are also options to use a variable to define the agent, use an agent cluster, which is a group of agents, and to add credentials so that the task runs as a user different from the default agent user. In the Details section of the task, you may choose whether to run a command or script directly on the selected Linux server, or you may select a script which is stored in the Universal Controller. For this example, we will run the env command. Correctly identifying whether a task has succeeded or failed is essential for automated processes. We will leave the exit codes field with a value of 0, which for most software indicates a success status. Any other exit code will result in the task failing. For this exercise, the rest of the options are left at their defaults. Once we have completed the form, we will save it using the Save button at the top of the window. After the task is saved, it appears on the list of all tasks and on the list of tasks of the same type. We will select the task by clicking on it once, and the form on the right displays the task. It is also useful to right-click on the task name to open the task menu and choose the Open in Tab option to open the task in a new tab in the Automation Center interface. Note that one of the other options on this menu is a launch option, which we will use once we are ready to test the new task. A saved task has additional buttons at the top of the form, including a button to launch the task. Now that the task has been saved, it is also possible to access the various task tabs. We will launch the task by clicking on the Launch button. The console window briefly appears at the bottom of the screen to inform us that the task has successfully been launched. Launching a task has the effect of creating an instance of the task. A task instance can be thought of as a running version of the task definition, and therefore will always have a status. Once created, task instances are independent of their definitions, so editing a task instance does not affect the definition upon which it is based, and editing a task definition does not affect any existing instances, only future ones. Normally, task instances are monitored using the activity list, but there's also a tab in each definition window for instances. Clicking on this tab will show you a filtered list of all of the instances based on this task definition. In this case, we are viewing task instances which have been updated in the last 24 hours. As we can see, the status of the instance we just launched is success. So the task must have ended with an exit code of 0, since that is our success criteria. There are various ways to open a task instance. We're going to double-click on the instance we want to view. Notice that the status field shows success, and the exit code field shows 0. There are also various fields in the task instance form which are not in the task definition form, such as launch source. By default, the output of the task is not transferred from the agent to the controller, since doing so occupies space in the controller's database. To force the output to be sent to the controller, we can click on the Retrieve Output button. This brings up a dialog box in which we can choose the type of output we want to retrieve, the starting line, and the number of lines of output to retrieve. There's also a field which allows us to enter a string or any regular expression which must match the lines being retrieved. In our example, we want to see all of the output, so we will leave the default values as they are and click on the Submit button. This causes the output window to appear with the task output being displayed. If it's necessary to copy the output, you may double-click on the output to open it in a window which allows copying. Every time you make changes to a definition and update it, a new version is created. Notice that we are working on version 1. I will add a description and then update it. The version field now displays 2. You may view and restore previous versions of the definition by going to the Versions tab. It is currently showing version 1, which does not have a description. To restore version 1, I will select the Restore Version option. This immediately returns me to the Definition tab, where we now see that version 3 has been created as an exact copy of the restored version. This concludes our introduction to the creation of tasks. There are many task definition options which we have not explored and which provide useful functionality. We encourage you to take the time to acquaint yourself with these options. Thank you for your time.